The power dynamics: Rome, Egypt, and Greece's historic struggles. Epic clashes revealed. Three colossal ancient civilizations entangled in a web of ambition, betrayal, and raw power. Rome's relentless legions steamrolling over Greece's philosophical strongholds. Egypt's enigmatic pharaohs weaving seductive alliances with Roman warlords. And Greek conquerors like Alexander the Great toppling Egyptian dynasties only to sow the seeds of their own downfall. These weren't mere skirmishes. They were seismic power struggles that redrew maps, fused cultures, and echoed through millennia, influencing everything from modern democracy to international diplomacy. If you've ever pondered how Cleopatra's cunning romance with Mark Antony triggered Egypt's collapse, or why Rome absorbed Greek wisdom while crushing its independence, or how these empires' rivalries mirror today's global tensions, you're about to be captivated. This exhaustive exploration will dive deep into the historical undercurrents, shocking betrayals, and timeless lessons, keeping you on the edge of your seat with what-if scenarios and expert revelations. If this hooks you, hit that like button right now, drop a comment with your favorite ancient empire, and subscribe for more immersive history deep dives. Because understanding these power dynamics isn't just educational. It's essential for decoding the world today. Welcome back, fellow history enthusiasts, armchair archaeologists, and curious minds from all walks of life. If you're joining us for the first time, this channel is your go-to hub for unraveling the intricate tapestries of the past, blending rigorous research with engaging storytelling to make ancient events feel alive and relevant. Today, we're embarking on an epic in-depth journey into the power dynamics between Rome, Egypt, and Greece. Three titans of antiquity whose historic struggles for supremacy weren't just about territory or treasure. They were profound clashes of ideologies, economies, and egos that shaped the foundations of Western civilization. From the sun-baked sands of the Nile to the marble forums of Athens and the blood-soaked battlefields of the Roman Republic, these empires' interactions involved military conquests, cultural assimilations, diplomatic deceptions, and personal vendettas that could rival any modern political thriller. We'll dissect this chronologically and thematically, drawing on primary sources like Polybius' histories, archaeological finds from sites like Pompeii and Alexandria, and insights from renowned scholars to provide a 360-degree view. Why dedicate such depth to this topic? Because these power struggles highlight universal themes. How do empires rise and fall? What happens when superior technology meets superior intellect? And how do personal ambitions ignite global conflicts? In an era of shifting alliances like NATO versus emerging powers, understanding these ancient dynamics offers profound lessons. We'll cover key phases, sub-events, debates, and legacies, with plenty of cliffhangers to keep you glued. So grab your favorite beverage, settle in, and let's begin with the early entanglements between Greece and Egypt, long before Rome's shadow loomed large. Trust me, the twists will leave you questioning everything you thought you knew about history. The foundations of rivalry. Greece and Egypt's early power plays, alliances, invasions, and cultural crossroads in the pre-Roman era. To truly grasp the power dynamics among Rome, Egypt, and Greece, we must rewind to the 6th–4th centuries BC, a time when Greece's city-states were emerging as intellectual powerhouses while Egypt, under the long shadow of its pharaonic legacy, navigated Persian domination and internal strife. Fact 1 in our deep dive: Egypt's role in the Greco-Persian Wars was pivotal yet double-edged. As a satrapy of the Persian Empire, Egypt provided resources like grain and ships to fund Persia's invasions of Greece, indirectly fueling conflicts like the battles of Marathon and Thermopylae. However, Greek mercenaries, known as Philhellenes, often hired themselves out to Egyptian pharaohs rebelling against Persia, creating a complex web of alliances and betrayals. For instance, the pharaoh Amyrtaeus of the 28th dynasty relied on Greek hoplites to throw off Persian yoke, blending Egyptian resilience with Greek military tactics. This early interplay set the stage for deeper entanglements. Enter the game changer. Alexander the Great's conquests in the late 4th century BC. In 332 BC, the young Macedonian king swept into Egypt after defeating Persia at Issus, where he was welcomed as a liberator and crowned pharaoh in Memphis. He founded Alexandria, which became a melting pot of Greek philosophy, Egyptian religion, and global trade. Think the great library housing 700,000 scrolls and the Pharos Lighthouse, one of the Seven Wonders. This marked the birth of the Ptolemaic Kingdom, a Greek dynasty ruling Egypt, where rulers like Ptolemy, the first Soter, adopted pharaonic titles while promoting Hellenistic culture. Historian Peter Green in Alexander to Actium describes this as a brilliant synthesis, where Greek rationalism met Egyptian mysticism, creating a hybrid power structure that dominated the Mediterranean for centuries. But power dynamics were far from harmonious. Internal struggles arose as native Egyptians resented Greek overlords, leading to revolts like the Great Revolt of 205 to 186 BC under pharaohs Harwinifer and Anquinifer, who briefly reclaimed Upper Egypt. Culturally, it was a fusion explosion. Greek gods like Zeus merged with Egyptian ones like Amun, producing Serapis, while Egyptian obelisks popped up in Greek cities. Economically, Egypt's Nile fertility made it a breadbasket, exporting grain that fueled Greek armies, a dependency that Rome later exploited. What if Alexander hadn't died prematurely in 323 BC at age 32? His empire might have endured, preventing the fragmentation that invited Roman intervention. This phase's cliffhanger, Greece's Hellenistic kingdoms, born from Alexander's conquests, now faced a rising wolf from the west, Rome. How did admiration turn to subjugation? Let's unpack that next, and trust me, the betrayals get personal. Rome's encroachment on Greece, from cultural admirers to ruthless conquerors, the Macedonian Wars, and Hellenistic absorption. As we transition to the 3rd-2nd centuries BC, Rome emerges as the disruptive force in this triangular dynamic, transforming from a modest Italian republic into a Mediterranean hegemon. Fact 2. The power struggle between Rome and Greece crystallized in the Macedonian Wars, a series of conflicts where Rome systematically dismantled the Hellenistic kingdoms descended from Alexander's generals. It started with the First Macedonian War, where Rome allied with Greek states like the Aetolian League against Philip V of Macedon, who had sided with Carthage during the Punic Wars. Rome's victory at Cynocephalae in 197 BC during the Second War showcased their superior legions, flexible maniples outmaneuvering the rigid Greek phalanx. The dynamics here were multifaceted. Militarily, Rome's engineering overwhelmed Greek fortifications, but culturally, it was a love-hate relationship. Romans idolized Greek art, literature, and philosophy. Horace famously quipped, "Captive Greece took captive her savage conqueror." Enslaved Greeks tutored Roman elites. Cato the Elder learned Greek despite railing against its effeminacy. Yet, power imbalances bred resentment. The Third Macedonian War ended with Perseus' defeat at Pydna, leading to Macedon's division into provinces. The climax? The Achaean War, where Rome sacked Corinth, slaughtering inhabitants and melting statues for bronze, a brutal assertion of dominance. Scholar Mary Beard in SPQR, A History of Ancient Rome, argues Rome's conquest of Greece was less about hatred and more about inevitable expansion. They absorbed Greek culture to legitimize their empire. Archaeological evidence from sites like Delphi, looted by Romans, supports this. Greek treasures filled Roman temples. Counter-arguments? Greek historians like Polybius, a hostage in Rome, saw it as fate's cycle, but modern critics view it as cultural imperialism. What if Greece united against Rome? Fragmentation from Alexander's successors doomed them. This sets up the Egyptian angle. Rome's gaze turned south, where pharaohs played a dangerous game of alliances. Hold that thought. Cleopatra's era is a whirlwind of intrigue. The climactic collision, Rome's domination of Egypt, and the end of Hellenistic independence, Cleopatra, Antony, and the battle for the East. Now, the triangle tightens in the 1st century BC, with Rome's tentacles wrapping around Egypt, the last major Hellenistic holdout. Fact 3. The power dynamics peaked with Cleopatra VII, the Greek-descended queen who navigated Roman civil wars with masterful diplomacy and personal charisma. Egypt, weakened by internal Ptolemaic infighting, became a Roman client state after Pompey's interventions in 58 BC, Cleopatra's alliance with Julius Caesar in 48 BC. She smuggled herself into his presence in a carpet, bore Caesarion, and secured her throne, was a calculated power move, blending romance with realpolitik to counter Roman annexation. The drama escalated post-Caesar's assassination in 44 BC. Cleopatra aligned with Mark Antony, one of the triumvirs, against Octavian. Their donations of Alexandria in 34 BC redistributed Roman territories to their children, enraging Rome and painting them as Eastern despots. The naval battle of Actium in 31 BC was the turning point. Octavian's fleet, led by Agrippa, outmaneuvered Antony's, leading to suicides in 30 BC and Egypt's absorption as a personal province of Augustus. Historian Stacy Schiff in Cleopatra. A Life reveals Cleopatra wasn't a seductress. She was a polyglot strategist who spoke 9 languages and ruled as Isis incarnate, challenging Rome's patriarchal order. Economically, Egypt's grain supplied Rome's masses, making it a prize. Culturally, it exported obelisks and cults like Isis worship. Counter-arguments. Was Cleopatra a victim of Roman propaganda? Feminist scholars argue yes, while others see her as overambitious. What if Actium went differently? A Romano-Egyptian empire might have rivaled China's longevity. Interwoven tensions, triangular conflicts, cultural exchanges, and the broader Mediterranean power web. Fact 4. Beyond bilateral clashes, triangular dynamics played out in proxy wars like the Seleucid conflicts. Rome exploited divisions using divide-and-conquer tactics. Cultural exchanges flourished. Egyptian grain fed Roman legions invading Greece. Greek architects built Roman aqueducts. Debates. Was this Pax Romana beneficial? Greeks gained stability but lost sovereignty. Egyptians preserved traditions under Roman rule. Archaeological sites like the Fayum portraits blend styles. Enduring legacies. How these struggles shaped modernity and lessons for today. Fact 5. The legacies are immense. Roman law fused with Greek philosophy and Egyptian administration created the Byzantine Empire. Modern echoes? EU integrations mirror cultural fusions. U.S. foreign policy recalls Roman interventions. As Edward Gibbon reflected in The Decline and Fall of the Roman Empire, the power struggles of these empires illustrate humanity's eternal cycle of rise, rivalry, and ruin. Counter-arguments. Some historians downplay conflicts, emphasizing symbiosis. Conclusion. The power dynamics of Rome, Egypt, and Greece, from Alexander's bold invasions to Cleopatra's tragic fall, weren't isolated events. They were the crucible forging our world, teaching that power is fleeting, alliances fragile, and cultures resilient. This deep exploration reveals how military might, intellectual prowess, and diplomatic cunning intertwine to create history's grand narrative. If it enlightened or surprised you, share your what-if scenario in the comments, and subscribe for more. Remember, history's lessons are our greatest power. Use them wisely.